All right, today is my birthday, year 23, we're entering, and I just wanted to sit down and reflect. Um, this was the year that I started posting content, I would say, and then I stopped, and it was kind of a full circle year. And so, obviously, as my birthday's coming around, I'm like looking back at the past 12 months, thinking about how it was, just because that's the type of person that I am. And I don't know, I just wanted to share how I'm thinking. I wanted to start this process of sitting down and reflecting again. I think it's really important that I do this. It helps get thoughts out of my head. And I feel like I have some pretty important things to say, or at least I have interesting ideas to myself. And I just think that the world needs more people that are willing to share their ideas. Um, just I just think that's how things are. Um, Especially just where the internet is right now. There's so much like fear and doomerism, and for a while I got caught up in that this year. I guess we'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, I just feel like I'm an optimistic, positive person, and I just feel like we're entering a phase, like we're entering a future that is going to be so good for the creative, for the person that has ideas, for the person that is able to sit down and share and articulate their ideas. And I just want to get better at it. And I think the way that you do that is to just start it. And so for a really long time, I put so much effort into thinking about how I would sit down and how I would talk to the camera. And I think for the foreseeable future, I just want to sit down and talk and articulate my ideas because, like I said, I feel like I have some interesting points. So let's just get into it. When I think about the past 12 months, to add some context, last year when I sat down on my birthday, I was the most materially successful that I had ever been. Um, at that time, I was turning 22. I was running a marketing agency with my best friend. We had just done $25,000 the month prior. And so, like, externally, I was successful, right? But when I woke up last year on my birthday, I like genuinely, it's the worst I'd ever felt internally. So externally, I had it all, but my internal state was it was really bad. Like I was experiencing very negative emotions for the first time in my life that I had never really felt before. And I would say just in general, that's what this year was for me, was getting back on track internally. If I could just summarize it in one sentiment, that would be what it is. Like I feel so much better internally. I woke up today with a smile on my face. And last year when I woke up, I did not have a smile on my face. I hated what I was doing. I told myself that if I was doing it next year on my birthday, that would, I was like very depressed. I was very sad. And it's very ironic looking back now that I have such positive internal state. Um, just like looking back on where I was and seeing like why I felt that way. Um, there's a million reasons I could go into it for a long story, but that's kind of where I started this year was I was on such an external high and such an internal low. And this whole this really that is I'm 22, I turned 23 today. Like me being 22 was really like at least again like having the perspective of 1 year to look back on it. I really feel like that's what it was about was getting internal alignment. I just want to make sure this is recording still because I feel like I'm on one right now. Okay, good. I don't know. I feel like I'm doing good. I wanted to make sure it was recording. Um, but yeah, I think like so I basically I have this great business. I turned 22 And May 22nd, which is the day after my birthday last year, I quit the business. I said, if this is something that I really hate doing and it actually makes me feel this bad about myself, then I have to stop doing it. And I'm really proud of myself for pretty much immediately recognizing, okay, this isn't what I want to do. I have to stop it and start something else. And so, really, what this year was like figuring out what that was. And part of that is really like getting aligned internally and just like getting back into a good state of mind. So I quit the business, went to Bali for a couple months, started posting content. That's where I kind of started this thing, and left Bali, was still posting content, went to Turkey for a little bit. There's a whole story there about me trying to kind of get back into the business game. It was too early, and that ended up not working out. Then I came home and I was broke because I wasn't making money for 6 months, and I was meditating 3 hours a day. I got a job at Amazon and just saved up a bunch of money. And at the start of this year, 6 months ago, pretty much around like December, January, I went all in on building this app. And that's what I've been doing for the past 6 months. And really, like, the long story, like the long story short is I let go of everything externally. I haven't made any money for the past year, pretty much. And you would think that that would make you feel bad about yourself. Like, hey, I went from when I was 22, when I was 21, 22, like I was making 25 grand a month in my business with my best friend. And now I haven't made any money in a year. But like I said, I feel so much better about myself. I'm way happier. And obviously, like, that makes me feel way better. Like, I think I have found something in this past year in myself that I'm really like, not in a pride way, but more so in just like I'm proud of myself for going through the really hard work of like finding that internal state where I could be happy doing anything genuinely. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I wake up today, and yeah, like I might not have the greatest external circumstances in comparison to where I was a year ago and where I thought I would be right now, but internally, I'm so much happier. I feel so much more fulfilled, and I'm so much more excited about the future than I was when I had all this external success. And I recognize that I'm really young and like naive in that way because I am young, but I feel like I grew so much this year, just in my thinking, in my outlook on the world, in so many ways, and that's kind of why I wanted to sit down and record again. Um, like I said, I started posting content this year, and I stopped posting like probably 8 months ago. So I posted for 4 months, and then I stopped, and it was really because I had this like cognitive dissonance inside of me. Like, I am a very like pro creation person. Like, I think creativity and putting stuff out into the world is really important. And like consuming stuff, like watching content all day, isn't really that good. And I kind of just felt this dichotomy between I'm creating stuff, but I don't like consuming it. And it was really hard for me to understand and grapple with that, like what that meant. Like I said, like this year was really about answering like kind of deeper philosophical questions for me. And that kind of presented itself in what I was doing. Like, I wanted to talk about my ideas online, but I just felt like the way that I was doing it wasn't authentic and real. And I was almost like I was scripting everything that I was doing, and I was putting a lot of energy and effort into it. Um, but I just think with the 8 months that I've been able to look back on it, like the reason that I stopped was because I didn't know if it was the right thing or not. And again, similar to with the agency, like when I recognized that the marketing agency, which is what the business was, when I recognized that wasn't the thing, I immediately stopped it. When I had a question about whether or not this content that I was doing was actually good for the world, I stopped it. And I like took the time to answer that question. Um, yeah, and there's a million ideas intertwined here, but I feel like I said, like I'm playing this game of creation, of putting things out into the world, and I just feel like that's a lifelong thing. And so yeah, like I might have delayed posting for 8 months, but like I have the answer internally. Like I have the conviction and the knowing that like no, this is actually the right thing. Like I went down the mental path that it was bad, and like for example, right, my thinking was if I post a 5 minute video that's really encouraging and inspiring and it gets someone to think about the world differently, but at the same time like it gets someone else to start scrolling for 2 hours or whatever. Like if I post a 30-second reel and that's what someone clicks on before they scroll for 2 hours, like did I really do good? And it was kind of like balancing those two things. And I think I've just come to the position, specifically with this example of like posting content, that this is the medium of the world that we live in, and I have to accept that. Like if I lived 200 years ago, I would probably be putting stuff out in the newspaper. Or if I was in the 1970s, I would want to be on TV or whatever the example is. Like this is the medium of the time that we are in. And there are pros and cons to it. I would not think the way that I do were it not for the content that I had consumed previously online. And like that's what has gotten me to this internal fulfillment, is like finding these avenues of information that have helped me like break through internal beliefs that did make me sad and depressed and all those kinds of things. And so the internet is an extremely valuable place. It's a great medium. We have more wealth of information now than ever. And it would be it would just be so like pessimistic of me to only look at the bad side of it when there's just so much optimism to be had with the internet. Like if you can be a voice of positivity and reason and optimism on the internet, of course that's a good thing. And it just took me a while to realize that. But I feel like again, like coming back to this full circle thing, like that's what this year was about, was aligning my internal beliefs. And I feel like I'm in a really good spot, like I said. That app that I mentioned earlier is actually like it's a in a way it's almost like an anti-social media app, but really is it's just like a blocking app for the internet. Like you pick apps that are distracting you, that are not necessarily something that you want to use all the time. And you can set limits, you can schedule them during certain hours. I actually think it's a really good app, and I think this type of thing, like kind of designing your own infrastructure of how you'll use the internet, is something that will grow over time. But I think I had the wrong mindset when I first started it. I first was like, okay, this needs to be the anti-social media tool because social media is bad and blah, blah, blah. But um, as you grow this thing, like I'm building this project and growing it and putting it out there and I'm getting feedback. Obviously, the idea evolves as well. And I think the idea has evolved into something better, honestly. And it's just like social media and content and where you're watching this right now has so much value. There's so much good to be had on the internet. Like I said, it gives us more wealth of information than ever imaginable, right? So there is a lot of good on it. But there is like a problem with it, right? Like the average person spends like 8 hours a day looking at a screen. And when you just stop to consider that, like that really is, it's amazing how much we value the internet, um, at the same time while not being intentional with it, right? Like we're spending so much time on it, watching cat videos and just like consuming drama and chaos and all these things. And I think that that is going to be a trend over the next X years, is like using the internet with intention, taking the valuable parts of it without the negative sides of it. And so that's kind of where my thinking is right now with that specifically. Um, but yeah, I just feel like I have so many great ideas to share, and like I'm thinking about this like year 23, like what's this year going to be about? And like I said, I'm really optimistic and I'm really positive. I'm in a really great place internally, and I'm just excited to continue to grow that this year, while starting to regain some of that external success that I had before, just knowing that like it doesn't matter at all. Like the only reason that I want to have a successful business, for example, right, isn't for the reasons that I had previously, which was that I wanted to make a lot of money so that I could travel and buy this expensive thing and retire my parents, which were good reasons, right? Like they're good things. Like, hey, you want to retire your parents, so make a lot of money. Um, but I think like I have a completely different outlook right now. I want to make great things. Like I want to make valuable things in the world. I want to create good tools. And part of like measuring that is just like how many people use them, how much do they value it. And the unit of value in the world that we're in is money, I guess. Um, Again, I just feel like I have a different outlook on things now. Like I just want to create great things, and so that's what this year is really about. Is like growing that external thing of like, I have the internal alignment, and I'm just hoping that year 23 is about continuing to grow in that realm of internal success and happiness, fulfillment, peace, spiritual growth, while also like recognizing that um, external growth is okay as well. I think that was something that happened this year as well. So I started the year and I let go of the external world. I said I said no to the paycheck. I let go of the successful business. And I would say like that kind of put me in the mindset of like, success and prosperity are dangerous, and they are like they you can get caught up in them in a bad way, but they're not something like if you were truly spiritually free, you would be indifferent to whether you were super successful externally or not successful externally. You would be indifferent. But I feel like I kind of, because I saw so much, like I saw the negative side of success, so that kind of was where I was, um, like focusing on. But anyways, I feel like it's not a bad thing to be prosperous, and I'm excited to do that this year. So this is me starting the process of documenting my ideas and thoughts online, and my mic's about to die, so I feel like I have to end this. Um, but yeah, I'm excited for year 23. I feel like this is going to be yet another best year of my life. That's what I say every year. And every year, despite the different journey that I go on, it always is. Some years are a lot more struggle and growth, and some years are a lot more fun. Um, but it always is the best year of my life. And, so I just feel like I'm looking over the ledge at what this next year is going to bring. And I'm just super excited. And so I'm going to be documenting my ideas. And that's really all I will say right now. Peace.